Welcome to Job Opportunity, and today we have Dr. Daniel Huang from the Oncology Institute, and today we are asking him a few questions about his job. Started off, what is your profession?
Thank you for having me on your website. My profession is oncology. I'm an oncologist and hematologist. Yeah, so it's actually two professions that have some overlap. Oncology is the treatment of cancer, and hematology is the treatment of blood disorders. And there are a lot of blood disorders that are also cancers, so that's why it's can be a combined specialty. So, what I do is I see patients who have either cancer or blood disorders, and I figure out treatments for them.
I see. That's pretty cool. Saving lives. Dr. Huang, why did you initially pursue this career of oncology in the first place?
Well, everyone's decision into oncology is a little bit different. My decision came from my internship when I was at Cedars-Sinai. And I really liked how we treated cancer, all the new technology and the drugs that were coming out, and it was a very exciting time to be studying oncology.
Wow, that's pretty nice. What's your academic pathway that got you here?
Yeah, so I went to college at Cornell. So I spent 4 years there. I studied biology. Not all medical students or pre-med candidates study biology. There are plenty who are English majors, history majors, engineers. But I always had this interest in biology. And so that's what I studied.
All right, just describe what does an ordinary day look like to you?
So for me, an ordinary day starts pretty early. I start working around 6:30 to 7 o'clock. I start off by rounding at one of the hospitals that I go to. So that involves seeing either my own patients who have been admitted to the hospital, or if there's a new patient with a new diagnosis of cancer or blood disorder. So I see that patient in the hospital in the morning. Usually there's several, and then I head over to my office for clinic. So my clinic runs from 8:30 to 11:30. So I see patients who are either in the middle of their cancer treatment with chemotherapy or immunotherapy, or they've already finished their treatment and they just have regular follow-up. So there are new patients that I see with new diagnoses, as well as these follow-up patients. I usually have about an hour break for lunch, and that gives me an opportunity to run back to the hospital to see some more patients, and then it's usually back at clinic for the afternoon. Try to start early so that I can end early, or at least on time around 5 o'clock, and get home to see my family.
I understand that your days is pretty set. What do you love about your job?
Yeah, what I love about my job, there are a few things. One is I love seeing patients. I love having relationships with them, taking care of them, and helping them through what is potentially the most difficult times of their life. And some of the times are hard, but then there are times when it's great, when a patient finishes their chemotherapy, or when they have a follow-up scan that shows that their cancer is gone. So those are the rewarding times.
It's very cool. That's very cool. What is like a part of your job that is like people assume that you have, but are not true?
Yeah, so when people ask me, what I do for a living, I usually tell them I'm a physician, and then some of them ask me, what type, and I tell them I'm an oncologist. And a lot of times their response is, "Oh, that must be hard," because they think it's a sad job, because I take care of people with cancer, and some people with cancer unfortunately die. But it really isn't depressing at all for me. I think that in any job you look at the bright spots, and for me as an oncologist, sure, there are people who die, but then there are a lot of people who we can cure them of their cancer, or even if we can't cure them, we can give them months or even years of better quality of life and a longer life. And so that's what makes my job actually a happy job.
That's cool. On the happy note, describe your most memorable highlight in your career so far.
I don't know that there's one memorable highlight. The things that I like thinking about or have fond memories of are, the few patients, or more than a few patients, that have had unexpectedly good outcomes. So, several of my patients have been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And in general, stage 4 cancer is incurable and a death sentence. But a few of these patients have had, just standard treatment. There was nothing really magical that I did, but they just responded very well. So much so that I believe that they're cured of a disease that they, otherwise we didn't think that they could be cured from. So I've got, probably more than a handful of those patients, and those are the ones that always bring me joy. When I see them in follow-up, now a lot of them I see them once every 6 months or even a year. They're really happy moments because they're alive and doing well, when just maybe a few years ago we thought we weren't going to see this day together.
What is one thing that you dislike about your job, if there's any?
Yeah, so the thing that is difficult and what probably bogs down most doctors is the paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork and documentation that's needed. If I could just see patients and treat them, this would be a dream job. But unfortunately, there's hours every day that I have to spend in front of a computer, doing documentation, checking the right boxes, doing billing. These are all things that are cumbersome and kind of a drag as part of the job.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of work. What are the qualities needed to become an oncologist?
So I think in being an oncologist, you have to have empathy, and you have to have patience, because these are some of the most difficult times that people are going through in their entire life. They're facing, a lot of times they're facing death, and you have to be able to spend time to listen to them and to be able to help them feel that you understand what they're going through, even though you may not.
Wow. Thank you for your time, Dr. Huang. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Job Opportunity. Hope to see you in the next interview. Peace.